Welcome back to Football Tragics. I'm back finally. Tony's not here. It's always one of us. But look, we're going to dive straight into it. I've got Campo to take us off this round because we all know the biggest game of the round didn't go ahead. It was the North London derby. Campo, what are your thoughts on that? Why did it not go ahead?
Because of one COVID case. Sure.
Is that it?
That is literally it. And the fact that they have injuries, suspensions, and AFCON. It's not Tottenham's fault that Xhaka and Gabriel are dirty. It's not our fault they have injuries, and it's not our fault Arsenal sign African players. The only thing we can't control is COVID cases. You know, fair enough if they had 5, 6, fair enough you can, But the fact that they're not using, the likes of Charlie Patino, they loaned out Ainsley Maitland-Niles and that Balogun striker. There's 2 players they've loaned out. That's not our fault. The game should have gone ahead. And it's funny that a week ago, Arsenal saying, "Oh, Liverpool are scared. And now look at them. Oh, who are we going to field? A bunch of kids. It's not our fault. I think it's shocking from the Premier League. That's shocking.
Yeah, I couldn't actually believe when I saw the posts about it saying it was been called off. It's kind of mind-boggling because I think Gary Neville put it pretty spot on where he said it started out as obviously postponing games because of COVID, and like you said there, they've had one case. Why is it being called off? They've got a full squad. It's unfortunate that they don't have some of their players, but again, like you said, they had Maitland-Niles. They didn't line him out a week before. If they knew that they were dropping that flyers, why don't they reject that and make sure he doesn't go? Morty, what are your thoughts on this? Is it crazy? I suppose you've been on the other end of it, I suppose, seeing the Liverpool postponing games, but for, I suppose, valid reasons compared to this.
Well, before I get into the real reason, the Arsenal kids smashed you last time, so I don't know what they were scared of, but anything from that, Campo?
Oh, if they weren't scared, they would have played.
It is getting a bit out of hand. Like we sat here 2 months ago when this all started kicking off. What is the number that defines whether the game's been called off or not? Because Campo, Spurs, you had 3 cases at the start and got that first game postponed, and then eventually it came out there was more and more. But
which we got kicked out of the comp for.
No, but I'm saying at the start of it was 3 cases, and then it's followed on and followed through. Like Wolves have played with 2 goalkeepers on the bench, but then the Arsenal have gone through. There are teams that have played every game going through, and they've had just as many cases as teams that have missed out on 4 games. Not like Spurs, but who else was it? I can't remember who else was behind, but it's all over the shop, and there was no defining number. They just kept going, maybe this, maybe that, and now we're going through it again. So what do you do? And we all sat here saying that we should have cancelled that weekend after Boxing Day. If we did that, then God, we'd be screwed for the next 2 months. So.
But that's why we have extended squads, no?
That's what I'm saying. They should have been played. Everyone else played through them. I don't understand. I think Arsenal, even Liverpool to an extent, we're all copping the flack from it, but it all began last month with the other teams and just pushing the line. And
yes, but they're being cancelled because of COVID. This is literally it's evident that there's been one COVID case. It's not even because of COVID. They're literally they don't have the players, but that's why we have extended squads. That's why you have under 21s. And I know to hand out 5 or 6 debuts probably wouldn't have made sense, but Arsenal had a squad. You can't say that the numbers were that bad. They couldn't field a starting 11 plus 5 subs on the bench, 3 even, because 3 is all you can bring on. So surely they could have filled it.
I know what you mean, but it's saying we're talking more the legality through things. If the Premier League come out and said, this game can be postponed because this team's losing 3 players, well then what's the difference between 3 and then 2 and then 2 to 1? There was no line drawn and said that this is what it was, so you can't sit here and blame anyone else other than the Premier League at this point.
Absolutely. The Premier League's the one
where the farce has become through.
Yeah, the Premier League's the one that made the decision to allow it. Chelsea, I think, tried to move a game or had a game postponed. I think it was the weekend that there was 3 or 4 games off, and I think we were finally can we have ours off? And they're like, no. We played it. I can't remember the result of that game, probably a draw. But it's just mind-blowing. It's a North London derby, one of the biggest games of the round for sure. Spurs are ready to play it, I suppose. And yeah, we know they've been punished. They got kicked out of Europe because of it. So
we had 5 players out too, so it's like it's not just we weren't trying to postpone it because we had Son, Regular, and Dyer all out.
It's not like you were going to like you said, have a full strength side against a bunch of 21-year-olds. But
I understand.
If the FA couldn't move, or Premier League couldn't move Liverpool, what was it, last year before, when half the team was in another country.
The whole squad. We had to have 2 functioning squads.
Active. I don't know. Was that for the FA Cup or Carabao Cup?
The World Cup.
No, that was the
but I mean,
the other thing, whatever.
Yeah, in Club World Cup. Yeah, so I understand. Had they not moved that one, I just can't believe the Premier League's decided this is a fair enough reason to move a game. It's mind-boggling. And Arsenal, sorry, go on.
I would have understood it more if they're talking AFCON had been delayed and all the teams were fuddling for players now because AFCON got moved. It's been there the whole time. Every team's known that it's been there. I'd understand if they're saying it's February, March. AFCON's been moved 2 months. They couldn't have signed any players in the transfer window. I'd understand then a bit more, but they can go out and sign players tomorrow if they really wanted to.
So when this game gets played eventually, whenever it is, if Granit Xhaka scores the winner, who was going to be suspended for this game, or whoever scores the winner who wouldn't have played, there's going to be controversy. I mean,
do you think?
Not just that, there's transfers coming in.
Well, do you think the players that got suspended for this game should stay suspended? That's the game they miss.
They should, but where do you draw the line? Because that means they can just keep playing games up until this game, which might not take place the bloody final weekend, for all we know.
But do you reckon Tomiyasu should be the only one that's allowed to come in and play because he was the one with COVID?
But why should I don't know? Because why should he be allowed to come and play when I don't know? Rafa
that's been the same argument for the year before with COVID too, because they had games postponed. I think Villa copped it the worst. They could have been played in a very depleted City at the time and won that game arguably, and they'd be in a much better position moving through that season when they were 4 games behind all season and having to play teams that have picked up form and back in form with players back. So,
Southampton's manager Ralph Hasenhuttl put it the other week. He said that Newcastle shouldn't be able to play with the players they've brought in against us whenever that game takes place. You saw David Moyes this morning. I don't know if you guys caught it, but said the same kind of thing. Why is all these games getting postponed? Why are they so far in advance, but we're having to play 2 games in a week when there's teams who still have 4 games to play? I mean, he mentioned Spurs, but it's I don't know. The Premier League's got to do something, I suppose, because Chelsea's pretty blessed. I suppose we haven't missed a game yet. We've played all our 22 games. We've got one in a couple of days' time.
You're 1 behind, yeah.
No, we've played them all. We've got one, which I think we're playing, which will be to make up for when we're away at the Club World Cup. So we've got that ahead of time. Yeah. But then there's teams like Spurs who have missed 4 games, and this Arsenal game doesn't help now. They've now got to make up an extra game when they were perfectly fine to play, and so should have Arsenal. So,
honestly, we take Spurs out of the picture, we'll take the bias. Leicester are the same amount of games behind, then you fall down to the race. You got Burnley at 17 games. If they really wanted to bring in a defender, bring in something, they'll scratch some draws out of that, and they'll be out of the relegation zone. It's
going to make for an interesting end to the year, interesting end to the season, especially with the relegation battle, because there is a lot of teams down there that are missing games so far. We're going to get into the round because there's plenty of games to talk about. So we're going to talk about that first one there. Brighton 1-1 with Palace. Campo, we'll start again with you. What were your thoughts on this game? Pretty controversial firecracker.
It looked like Brighton of last season, having all these chances, XGA, top of the league or whatever, and they missed everything. It took an own goal, I'm pretty sure, to save them this time. Again, it was late. Typical Brighton fashion, score late and salvage a point. But they deserved the win. They were the better team all game.
I think this is like their 5th or 6th game they've rescued a point within the final, usually 90 plus minutes, but 87th today. So. Yeah, but like you said, they did deserve it. At least the point. Palace had 1 shot, 1 on target, 1 goal. Conor Gallagher, he's back, and I suppose they needed him because they've been a bit poor, I suppose, without him. They're missing Wilfried Zaha as well. But yeah, it is the Brighton of old, really. It's pretty funny to see. I don't know what you guys tipped prediction-wise for this game. I don't think I got it right myself. But Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
Tipped exactly the 1-1 draw, and we sat here and said Brighton will score in the 80th minute and Palace will cop something, get something lucky, because we didn't know Gallagher was playing at this point, so we thought Brighton would score for him, but yeah, it's the other way around, and it still managed to work out. But yeah, this game was very interesting. Palace got absolutely ran off the park basically, and Brighton put one more chance away, two more chances away. This could end up 3-0 and be done with it. So.
Right, I'm just looking at the last time they played, which obviously earlier in the year or last year, Morpay scored a 95th minute equaliser. And so for them to go and cough another late one, they wouldn't be happy. But I suppose their failure to see out games has been Palace's downfall all season as well.
Yeah.
And I think I've said that they've played some good football and stuff. Vieira's going to play some, good footy, but it's just not good enough, is it? They could be sitting a lot higher on the table than what they are now.
Yep.
All right, and now we're moving to, I suppose, which would have been is the biggest game of the round, just because North London Derby didn't happen. It was our first, second place. City blowing Chelsea off the park. It was only 1-0. Looks respectable, but we were terrible, completely terrible. I think we had one shot on target, which was Lukaku's, that was an easy save. They had 6 on target and just looked all over us. And it's the exact same thing that happened when we played them at Stamford Bridge early in the season. Men against boys. I'll carry on a little bit, but I want to hear, obviously, from you guys first. Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
Honestly, from the get-go, it looked like Chelsea were just... I thought they were playing for a draw because they sat back. They were just absorbing the pressure. Yes, they probably did well to not concede as many shots as they could have. I mean, City usually put 20 shots past most teams, but in saying that, City looked like they got their goal and they just were cruising, waiting for an accident to happen. And then even if Chelsea scored, I think City would have scored within the next 5 minutes. They just looked like they were not cruising, but just playing football, having fun and playing around everyone. Chelsea was sitting back, letting it all happen in front of them. So
yeah, I mean, the goal, it took a while to come. That De Bruyne goal was a phenomenal finish. But even when we went 1-0 down, I couldn't see us getting back into it. There was no urgency to score a goal. I think we were just happy at this point to keep it 1-0. Defensively, we've looked a lot better in recent weeks, but we're dropping points like crazy, and that's why we're now in third, obviously, with you guys jumping ahead of us. But it's not looking good, and we need to turn it around because it's not been good enough. Our strikers haven't been good enough. I think Tuchel maybe got it wrong again in this game, like he did in previous big games where Lukaku probably shouldn't have started. I just don't think he offered enough this game. And he should have been taken off at least. He's getting no support, but he's also not doing anything himself. And I don't know if you guys have seen, Tuchel came out and said that
yeah,
he needs to work harder for the team as well because, you're a striker and you do need support. But sometimes you've got to make your own luck, and he's just not bothered.
No, I understand that, but we look at United and praise Ronaldo for the same sort of thing when
Ronaldo's clutch,
he's
though,
coaching
isn't he?
his goal. He's he's clutch. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Lukaku's anywhere near Ronaldo's level, but we sit here and ask the questions of, why does Ronaldo float around the box and he's waiting for his, chances to come. Lukaku's basically doing the same thing, and if that's what we expect from a striker, that's what we expect. But I mean, Chelsea, I don't know why they still insist on playing the 5 at the back. Yes, it'll work, whatever, but you've got all the great attackers. You've signed all this money. Play the 4-3-3, play the 4-2-4. Just do something when you're down 1-0 against City. I don't know why something doesn't change for that one.
Yeah, I think
you've already lost.
I think you're right, especially in a game like this where we're missing a couple of centre backs now, a couple of injuries, Christensen and whatever his face is, Chalobah, both out. We had to play Malang Sarr, who I think played well, but again, not up to their game like this. I don't think he's ready for it. But yeah, 4 at the back would have been exactly, who were important to us. I think 4 at the back would have been good this game. Get a few more attacking players out there because Ziyech and Pulisic they were both terrible, just like Lukaku. So this game was crying out for Havertz, for a Mount, for even Hudson-Odoi when he came on. He probably looked okay. So yeah, not good enough. But it's the story of our season. City just too strong. I think it all but confirms the title race over, which we basically knew. What were your thoughts, Campo?
I just don't know why it looks like Chelsea get stage fright when they get to City. They'll come out and they'll hold possession, actually take it to a team. But when it comes to City, they're like, well, they're better than us. We'll sit back. We'll absorb. You're pretty much handing them the game by doing that. Again, the goal came from an N'Golo Kante mistake. And then I also think Thiago Silva should have shut him down. And I also have a problem with Kepa. He dives to his left and then tries to springboard. If he stands straight and down the middle like he should have, it's an easy save. So a lot of things that could have stopped that goal happening should have, but you've just handed City the title.
Yeah, spot about the goal. I think, it's a great goal, great strike, great run, but I think Mendy does save that, just being that he's probably a few inches taller. And like you said there, Kepa moves slightly to the other side, which I'm not sure why, because I think he's always curling that one. You'd rather, I don't know, I think keepers just hate getting beat at the near post, so I suppose he was anticipating the reverse shot, I suppose. But yeah, for the game that he played, for how good he's been recently, Kepa, it's these ones that shows why Mendy's the number one keeper. And yeah, City have the title wrapped up at this point. All right, we're going to move on. Rafa Benitez is gone following this defeat. Norwich 2-1 over Everton. Who saw it coming? Not me, but
me and Tony.
It's not. There you go. It's not crazy. All right, we'll let you start, Morty. What were your thoughts on this one? Norwich was a big win.
So last time we talked a lot about Agent Rafa ruining the club from inside out. We don't know how he was still in charge. He's obviously been sacked now. Norwich, oh mate, we did say Everton would have to score for him. Me and Tony were on fire. We predicted the 3 from 3 so far. We predicted the goal scorers almost. Everton, where to now? Because they've got no money. They need to now sign another. They've approached Sam Allardyce.
Or Roberto Martinez, apparently, who the club who the fans don't also want again.
But there's no one left. They've had like 8 managers in the past 4 years, and they've had good ones. I don't know what they're going to do. But Norwich, they've had a win. Doesn't do much for anyone other than.
Well, it puts them in 18th now, so they're not bottom. Got
but
chance,
they've played the most games out of the last bottom 6, so
they have.
They're still down. But yeah, Richarlison, great finish, nice bike. Props to him. Got me some fantasy points, but enough said.
Well, they're slowly getting the team back together now, aren't they, Everton? They've slowly got their starting 11. I mean, it's taking a little while, but do you think whoever comes in, if it's Roberto Martinez or Sam Allardyce even, they keep him up, surely, just because there's teams worse than them. But what is it just going to be a very, very poor season? What do you reckon, Campo?
It's going to be a poor season. I can't believe they sacked him. They're not going to get a manager anywhere near as good as that. And to think that it's Rafa Benitez's fault, that's beyond me. I can't believe they've actually sacked him over that. It's just a poor season unlucky with the amount of injuries they've had. Plus the whole Gylfi Sigurdsson situation, who would be another starter. There's a lot of key players that have missed this season, and they've had to bring in a lot of kids. So maybe it might be better in the future in the next couple of seasons because we've got all this youth coming through. But it's just a rough ride, and again, I can't believe they sacked him.
So you think a couple of months from now, had they have kept him, they would be looking a lot better?
Oh, next season, I reckon they would have made a few new signings under him.
But that's the problem. They couldn't make any new signings. That's why they sold Luka Dean, because they have no money. I think they were approaching financial fair play if they didn't sell Dean. Like that's
they're one of the richest. They're one of the richest owners in the country. I just don't think they're allowed to spend their money. I don't think the turnover work. I don't know how financial fair play works too much, but
they've got to bring in money from sponsors and from fans and ticket sales, etc. Because there's an X amount, and then they can spend a certain amount. But they haven't won anything, so they've got no money coming in from cups. Yes, they've got the money there, just much like Newcastle at the moment. They've got all the money, but they can't spend it with financial fair play. But that's what they're saying. They've still got Sigurdsson. Don't forget, they spent like 60 on Sigurdsson, and they spent all this money on all these players coming through. Like they bought Barcelona one, Gomez. They paid like 35 for him. They've had some very questionable signings over the years, and I think it's capitulated to this. It's great to see.
It is funny to see, especially, I suppose from Liverpool's point of view with Benitez going. I suppose you're pretty happy to see that he didn't succeed, or maybe he did succeed, I suppose, if you call him Agent Rafa. All right, we're gonna move forward. It was Wolves 3-1 over Southampton. Is this a shock result? Again, I can't remember what you guys predicted, but Campo, were you surprised by this?
Nah, I was surprised that Wolves scored 3. I thought it was going to be a 1-0, just like a Wolves fashion, but they played Southampton off the park, and I guess,
Would you call it off the park when Southampton had 10 shots on target? I'm reading the stats now. 10 shots and they only scored 1 goal and lost 3-1. Jose Sarr with an 8.7 match rating, quite good.
But the goal they scored was an absolute freak of a goal. So you take that out of it should have been 3-0 if the keeper read that free kick properly. Wolves were just too classy on the day. Adama Traore finally gets his first goal of the season. I can't remember the second goal scorer, but just a rough night for Southampton. But 2 games in a few days, maybe the squad, maybe fatigue played a part. Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the expected goals now. I didn't realize it was 10 shots on target for him. It was 0.93 expected goals. So I have watched the highlights, but I can't remember where all these shots came from. But yeah, big win for Wolves. Big win for Wolves. Morty, what were your thoughts on this one? Traore finally scoring a goal.
Oh, I don't know what to be more shocked about. That free kick from Ward-Prowse. I mean, it's basically a given these days because an absolute freak, and then Traore scoring. I didn't think he could. I said the Wolves would win out of spite. They've done it. I don't know how they did it, but they managed to, considering Southampton were coming off a decent win. That, as we said last pod, I don't know if you hit, but they just can't string games together, and they're fluttering around down the bottom, and I don't know where Southampton look to go, because you can't be winning and losing and drawing down there. Like, what are they sitting now? 15th, 16th or something? No,
they're in 12th now, so they had a
12.
decent run. They had a decent run for a few games there, and that was what put them up and gave them that bit of breathing room. But yeah, they obviously can't string together too many in a row, which is a bit unfortunate. Which would have propelled them top half of the table even. All right, big game here. Another draw. It was a 6-pointer relegation battle. It was Newcastle 1-1 with Watford. Newcastle still just can't get that win. They need it. It was 88th minute. João Pedro with the equaliser. The new boys couldn't fire. Trippier, Chris Wood, all this talent, I suppose you'd say, from Newcastle, and another draw against a team that they obviously would have loved to beat, because it would have almost taken them right above them. And yeah, but for now they're still sitting 19th. What are your thoughts, Morty? Just catching me a drink. I'm sorry.
St. Maximum, he looks the goods. He just does not have the quality around him. Like, that goal he scored, he basically did it all himself. And again, the Newcastle's defence let them down. However, they've had 1 shot on target. Like, they let Watford have 18 shots to fight with their 5 on. Like, I don't know, if someone Trippier and the bloke went missing defending the bloke. Pedro, was it Pedro? Yeah, Pedro for that header. I mean, yes, he probably wouldn't have got up there with him, but he was just man watching. He wasn't even defending anyone at that last point. So, arguably, he's getting suited to the team. Maybe, maybe not. But these are the players that are supposed to be coming in to save Newcastle, and a draw isn't going to do it for them. They basically need to win the next 5-6 just to get some confidence. So,
I'm still confused as to why they bought Trippier. He's not that defensive reassurance that they would have needed. I don't think he didn't add anything to that defense. All he does is going forward, he can whip a ball in. So as you'd know, Campo first team, you've seen him play, but why did they buy him? Was it just because they thought, we've got a bit of money, let's buy somewhat of a big name? Comes from Atletico Madrid.
He's cheap, and he won the with Atletico Madrid, won the Liga. Got England to a semi-final, scored in there. So he can play well, but I think Newcastle's problems are in the midfield. You're playing Jonjo Shelvey every week. That's a red card waiting to happen. You're getting dominated every week in the midfield. I think they should be looking to strengthen that now.
I think
they signed
him. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry, I was just going to say they've brought Joel Linton back from striker into the midfield, who against United that worked, and he played this fantastic game. But since then, he's done nothing again. So it really is St Maximin and a bunch of average talent, I suppose. They brought in Chris Wood, who was a release clause signing, 30 million, which I think is not the worst signing because they brought him from Burnley. So, it hinders another team in the relegation battle. But all this money and they can't even sign, they can't strengthen really. So,
yeah.
But Watford surviving just because this was a big result for them. If they had lost this, I think it could have been question marks over Ranieri's future. I've been saying in a few weeks, probably see him getting sacked soon only because it's Watford and that's what they do. But they've got a couple games in hand, a one over Newcastle. So it might be enough just to keep them up. Going into the final stretch, I suppose, last 10 games, 15 games of the season, it might be enough just to get them by. Another team just getting by, though, it's United. I don't know. Here we go. Villa versus United, massive one. What are you going to start us off because of Coutinho? Talk to us, Stevie G and Coutinho. They're reunited now, and it rescued Villa a point.
Not only did it rescue Villa a point, but he gained this electricity that he didn't show at Barca ever. This is a sort of like Liverpool-esque that he was, and he was on for 14 minutes. I didn't quite fathom that. Like I woke up and I thought I heard 40 minutes, 14 minutes and a goal and assist. Like against United, that shouldn't have happened. Like I think coming into this game, United's job would be if Coutinho came on, you're shutting him down because that's the Liverpool. That's all the talk that's been happening the whole. I think I just watched him, and yeah, Ramsey first goal for Villa, the top flight. Just don't know. United looked like they a comfortable job done and let it slip.
Yeah, I mean there was no Ronaldo for this game, and it's clear to see that when Ronaldo doesn't play, Bruno does well. That first goal, obviously, keep a slip up from Martinez. I think it might have been a bit of karma, given the way he reacted when he skied the penalty in the first game between them. But yeah, 2-0 up, it's comfortable. They should be able to see this game out. I know that second half from Villa was very impressive. But yeah, like you said, Coutinho's come on. He's changed the game. He was on for 14 minutes. I don't think he's been credited with the assists, so I don't think, all the media outlets saying that he's got 1 goal, 1 assist. I think it's been given as a nothing, no assist, but still an impressive performance off the bench. Scores the equaliser, and United continue their terrible form. They're sitting in 7th, and they're slipping away from that top 4, especially when the other teams are picking up big results around them. And this result for Villa, it's an important one because of how they went out in the Cup only recently to United. So the fight back from Stevie G and his boys, it's impressive. And yeah, I think there's more question marks over United. That it's not going to be fixed anytime soon, and they're going to need to sign a few players to see it out.
Let's not forget as well that they benched their star captain Harry Maguire for this game, and the defence did not improve. So, don't know. We all sat here and said, "Varane, what an outstanding signing! Why have Arsenal spent all this money on Ben White? Ben White has about 8-9 clean sheets. Varane has 2."
Yep. Campo, thoughts on the game?
Yeah, Jacob Ramsey and Coutinho show safe today. Now, everyone talks about how good Coutinho was, but Jacob Ramsey also got a goal and assist as well. They couldn't stop him in the end. United again slipping up, should be comfortable. Villa should have won this game in the end if it wasn't for the goalkeeping error, like you said. But I think Villa will be very happy to come back from 2-0 down. Shows good character. And they're improving their squad day by day. Luka Dean still has to come in. That's a quality left back.
He played this game.
Oh, did he?
Decent too. Yeah, he looked pretty good. He had a good chance to score, but
so Stevie G's getting some pull around. People want to play for that club right now, and I reckon next year that could be pretty scary.
They're finally putting together that squad that they did a few years ago when they almost went down. But they've got the manager now, it seems, to go all the way or do something special. That's for sure. All right, we're going to move into probably the most exciting game of the round. It was this morning's game, 1 of 2. West Ham 2, Leeds 3. I'll ask who saw this result coming because it wasn't me. Campo, you get to start us off then because of that. Thoughts on the game? Is it because you hate West Ham?
No, it wasn't. I sat here and I said I just have a weird feeling that Leeds will get up for this game, and it came from a man who hasn't appeared all season. Looks like they played with 10 men when they've had him on the pitch. But again, West Ham points dropped. They should be beating Leeds with their level of defence. West Ham with that squad could be pushing Europe. So I think it's 3 points dropped, but a massive win for Leeds, and I think this will push them onto bigger things this season.
Is this the momentum? Is this win going to give Leeds momentum now? Because it's happened. I mean, they've won stray games in the past and they just haven't kicked on since.
I think it's a big scalp. It's not I beat Norwich. I beat a team that was that are pushing for Europe this season. We have the players to do it. Let's put another performance together and start building some momentum.
Massive, very massive result for them, I suppose, but very, very poor result for West Ham. What are your thoughts, Morty?
Well, we all saw a Leeds win coming at some point this year, like one of those freak wins. They play that sort of football, where eventually it'll pay off for them. Again, they didn't defend this game, like clearly 3-2 scoreline, but Harrison finally shown up. I wouldn't say he's been missing all season. He's done some things right, but he hasn't been that quality we saw last season from him. But on West Ham, like you can't knock them too much. You don't build like a top 4 squad overnight. They were talking they were almost relegation bound when under Moyes when he had COVID last season. They turned around. They're bringing some sort of signings in slowly. They're building correctly. I think I'd say they're sort of letting it grow. Like they still play Noble sometimes, just for shits and gigs. They let him score again for that season. But it's not too much of a downer for West Ham. Like they always knew they weren't going to be. They want to challenge for top 4, but they knew it wasn't going to be a guarantee. I think they just want to lock up some sort of Europe again and bolster their squad going forward so they can get some more signings in, and so maybe post Christmas they don't sort of have these letdown games. But other than that, I
mean, for the point being, they're still sitting in 4th. You can't see them staying there with Arsenal 2 games in hand, Spurs 2 games in hand, United with 2. You can't see them staying there, but it's been an impressive season nonetheless. They're still in Europe, so that's good. And I want to shed a bit of light on, do you think Jared Bowen deserves an England call-up?
On his recent form, yes. Like he's a winger. Greenwood's Rashford's a winger. He's doing a lot better than Rashford, and Rashford gets picked every international window.
Well, that just shows, I suppose, the big club favourites.
Jared Bowen.
Jared. I just saw Optus Sport put something up today. Jared Bowen's got 19 goals and assists in 2021 or since 2021, beginning of the season, I think. He's outscored and got goals, assists out of every other English midfielder, striker that there is. So impressive season for him. That miss at the very end there, if you guys have seen, it's laughable.
Yeah,
can't believe he's missed that. Massive chance to draw it, but. Yeah, he's having a fantastic season and someone they're going to want to keep a hold of, because I could see some big clubs going after him. Just
Liverpool apparently at some point. He's probably the Liverpool sort of signing that kind of not big name, but ends up.
Yeah, it's almost like a Minamino signing, I suppose, in a way. Whereas he's not going to start, but he probably will take his chance when he gets it. And moving into Liverpool, we're going to finish on them 3-0 over Brentford. Thoughts, Morty? Was it convincing? I saw the highlights. It didn't look too convincing, but again, you've just blown them off the park towards the end there.
First half was a bit, Fabinho finally, cracked it in going into half time. But Liverpool, we always come good in that last sort of half an hour game. We have Klopp's always been about the press and the fitness. Like these players can play 120 minutes and probably barely break a sweat. And you saw that, like we ended up with 27 shots, 70% possession. That's what it is, and it's just a bit of redemption from the 3-0 draw. We kept a clean sheet, and without our attacker, it's just great to see 3 goals. Can't be
Yeah, I
too
mean, you're
disappointed.
still scoring goals, especially with Mane and Salah. So big other players are stepping up to the plate. Oxlade-Chamberlain scoring. Minamino obviously needs to produce during this
Now
time.
injured, so another
Who's that?
injury. Oxlade.
Oh, is he got injured since?
He came off in like the last 2 minutes, and apparently there's
Of
some other injury going on. So God knows.
Of course. I think this is a big chance for Firmino to produce. Diego Jota taking his position in a way. While the other two are out, he needs to produce. And I suppose he had a great game, so credit to him. And
again, he doesn't produce. Like, he's not our producer. Like, he's the ball winner. He's basically having an attacking mid. He's not even a centre forward. Like, he sits a bit further back. He's not playing in the last man. That's Salah and Mane's job. So I hate how everyone puts him down because he's our striker and he should be getting these goals. But you saw the third goal. He's about the press. That's what he's there for, and he does it so well. It's just why I hate the hate he gets, because arguably, yes, he probably could score some more, but Blake's got 5-6 goals this season. He's played about 5 games, so you can't be hating it. So.
No, I don't mean he needs to score. I just think he needs to step up, which I think he did perfectly fine in this game, and I think he will. So this win takes you into second. You've still got another game in hand, so
still
time to close. Oh, you can close a little bit of the gap, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Have 3 draws, and then we need to beat them, and I don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's like an 8-point swing or something, or even less. Unless you win your game in hand.
Champions League time, and Pep has his brain malfunctions and slips up a little. But I don't know. I don't know how long that run can go without a title in the Champions League for him. So.
All right, Campo, finish us off. What were your thoughts on the game before we wrap up?
I think Salah and Mane would have been pretty mad they didn't get to play this game. They would have probably scored 3 each. But just, I think it was comfortable for Liverpool. Just Brentford didn't offer much this game. They looked way different to when they did play Liverpool last time. They just got blown off the park, and just a cruisy day for Liverpool.
Yeah, spot on. All right, lads. Thanks for joining me. We're going to try to be back, or we will be back later in the week for the preview. Hopefully Tony can join us then. So we'll catch you in a bit.
Peace.